Your monthly subscription box from postflybox.com includes all the materials needed to tie a dozen flies, along with some extra goodies. The Merkin crab has been around for ages. It's well known as a tropical saltwater flats fly for catching bonefish, tarpon, and permit, but it also works exceptionally well for more northern species such as striped bass, weakfish, and bluefish. The Merkin starts with a size 2 heavy-duty saltwater hook. Begin by getting the hook firmly secured in the jaws of your tying vise. You can then load a bobbin with the spool of tan unithread. Get the thread started on the hook shank behind the eye, and after taking a few wraps rearward, snip off the excess tag. Continue taking thread wraps to build up a nice thread base on the front third of the hook shank. Pick up one of the pairs of dumbbell eyes and place it on top of the hook shank so the front of the eyes are in line with the back edge of the hook eye. Then take several cross wraps to begin securing it there. Follow the cross wraps with yoke wraps, which go over top of the eyes but under the hook shank on either side of the hook. After the yoke wraps, do circular flat wraps below the eyes but above the hook to pull all the previous wraps in tight. Make sure the eyes are perpendicular to the hook shank, then continue taking thread wraps down the hook until your thread hangs at about the hook point. The tips from 4 grizzly hackle feathers are used to imitate the crab's claws. Strip off the lower fibers, then snip the stem so you're left with feather tips that are approximately a full hook in length. Pair the feathers with their concave sides facing up. Pick up one of the pairs with the concave side facing you and begin securing the stems to the near side of the hook. Once they're well anchored, pick up the other pair of hackle tips, this time with the concave sides facing away from you, and secure them to the far side of the hook in the same manner. Continue taking thread wraps all the way up the hook shank to the eyes, binding the hackle stems down as you go. End with your tying thread at the base of the claws. They should splay outward, like this. Separate 3 strands of rubber leg material from the rest. With one end of the material just past the end of the claws, anchor it to the top of the hook shank so it's slightly angled to the far side of the fly. Pull the forward-pointing material back and towards you and anchor that so it's angled toward the near side of the fly. Make sure the material is bound down really well. The rubber legs should splay outward on either side of the fly, just like the hackle tip claws. End with your tying thread hanging at about the hook point. Trim the rubber leg material on the near side off, so it too extends a bit past the tip of the claws. To make things easier, rotate your vise to flip the fly over, or if you don't have a rotary vise, invert the fly in the vise's jaws. Snip 3 or 4 inch-long segments of both the tan and the rusty brown yarn free. Pick up one of the tan yarn segments and lay its midpoint diagonally across the underside of the hook shank and secure it there with cross wraps. The idea is to get the yarn really locked down so it's perpendicular to the hook shank. This can be a little fussy, just take your time and you'll get it. Now, repeat the same tie-in procedure with a segment of rusty brown yarn. The result should look something like this. Continue tying in alternating colors of yarn going up the hook shank. There really is no set number. Just stop tying in segments when they reach the back edge of the dumbbell eyes. The fly should now look something like this. Pick up your whip finish tool and use it to do a 5 or 6 turn whip finish behind the hook eye, then seat the knot well and snip your tying thread free. Flip the fly back over so the dumbbell eyes are on top. A fine-tooth comb like this one works very well for teasing out the yarn. Just make sure to start at the tips and work inward toward the hook. It's a little time-consuming, but the effort is worth it in the end. If you don't have a fine-tooth comb, a dubbing needle can be used to produce the same effect. Now, using very sharp scissors, trim the yarn off to give the crab a nice oval-shaped body, like so. With the body trimmed, go back in and separate all the rubber leg material. This will add a ton of motion to the fly. Get hold of your head cement, or here Sally Hansen's hard as nails, and apply an ample coat to all the exposed thread wraps, especially those around the dumbbell eyes. And that's the Merkin crab. Because of the dumbbell eyes, when fished, it will ride with the hook point up, as you see here.